and welcome to the Board Crazy Review. I am D. I am joined, as ever, by my followers, frankly.
I'm Graham.
Hey, and I am Will.
Yeah.
Will the artist. Will the painter.
Tagging along.
Yeah, I'm tagging on. Third wheeling this week.
Mm-hmm. We are reviewing Kanagawa, the Yokai expansion, and kind of the game in general. So, before we do that, like we do every review, they should really be expecting this by now. We're going to run my introduction, I guess.
I was not expecting
I didn't
that.
expect it either.
Are we going to run my introduction to the expansion?
Probably to the expansion.
Okay. Yeah, all right, we're going to run my introduction to the expansion, so you'll have a pretty poor idea of how this game plays, but you will learn a few things if you are familiar with Kanagawa in general. And if you want to skip that, there will be a time listed, but here that goes. Kanagawa Yokai is an expansion for Kanagawa, which is a game for 2 to 4 players, designed by Bruno, Cathala, and Charles Chevallier, and published by Iello. The expansion adds 3 new subjects to the game and their corresponding diplomas, as well as the mischievous yokai spirits, which will cost the players points if they possess them at game's end. If you're unfamiliar with Kanagawa, we did a gameplay video of that last year, which is linked to in the description below, and you can watch that if you want to learn the basics. Setup for the game is largely the same when you use this expansion. The only difference is that regardless of player count, you now always use 4 sets of lesson cards, always 2 from the original game and 2 from the expansion, and of course only the diplomas for the used lessons are placed out. Also, the 3 yokai spirits are kept to the side of the board at the start with the additional brushes. The gameplay is also largely the same, however some of the new lesson cards will show a yokai icon. And whenever a player takes one of these cards from the school board and adds it to their studio, they must also collect a yokai token. Some lesson cards and diplomas will also allow players to give away the yokai they've collected. However, there is a diploma for also having all 3 of the yokai at one time. However, at the end of the game, players will lose a certain amount of points depending on how many yokai they have in their possession. So, boys, Kanagawa, a game about painting and making a studio with which to paint.
Yeah.
We have played the original game on the channel before, many moons ago. I don't remember when exactly.
We had written reviews on
it was pre-review videos, so our actual reviews of that are gone.
I'm sure
we have them.
Exist. They exist.
We have them backed up.
They're just not on the internet anymore.
You can't find them. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the entire experience, but we're going to maybe focus on the yokai expansion.
That's the base game.
Primarily.
Yokai's over here. But
it's out of my reach.
We should also mention, though, that if you do want a better rundown of the core game, you can watch the first 3 minutes or so of our playthrough of that, which I'll link down below.
I guess we should talk about the gameplay.
It's usually where we start.
Well, did one of you want to lead off on this one?
Why?
Because I don't have a lot to say about Kanagawa, frankly.
For me, I enjoy the gameplay of Kanagawa because it feels very streamlined and simple, and there's not a lot going on. And that's not kind of typical with similar games. You have a lot of, because there's... What?
He wasn't knocking the game. Keep going, Graham.
But what I'm saying is I like how with just a few actions, you still feel like you're getting an entire experience out of a game. You know, you're just kind of deciding, okay, do I want to take the cards now? Don't I? Which row do I want to take? And then what side of the card do I want to use? But even through that, I still feel like the entire time I'm really trying to strategize and figure out what's going to get me, most of my
I always
points.
like Kanagawa at the start of a game of Kanagawa. The first cards come out, and it's like, ooh, it's exciting. What will come next?
Yeah.
Should I wait? Should I take? And then you take, and like, okay, I've got something going here. Then 2 turns later, you're like, I don't need anything here. This is all useless. Get these cards, they're ruining me.
That's the randomness of card drafting, though.
Yes, I know it is, but especially when you get some that are face down, and that throws a wrench in.
It's a bit of a race with some luck involved because if you're not getting the cards that you want, and you're just putting them towards the bot, you're not putting them into your studio, right? You're putting them into your I get the two.
You put them in the studio, into your print.
You're not putting them into your
studio.
print. You're putting them into your studio, not your print. It hurts you because it slows you down. Other people are putting them into their print and they're reaching that 11 card.
This is a first to reach a number thing,
And so
finish the game sort of situation.
Exactly.
In a lot of sense.
But overall, I think it plays very well. The one issue that I do have with the game is that it kind of becomes a race in the end.
Yeah.
It would be better suited if it were just to play until the last type of card and then score most points.
I would say that the mix of card drafting and worker placement is really, like you said, like it's sort of streamlined, it's simple and easy to learn. And so I get where you're coming from, and I think I appreciate the game probably more than Dee does.
Almost.
But I also see where Dee's coming from, and also kind of what you were implying. It gets kind of like you said, there's enough luck here, though, that it can definitely go one way where you're like, I'm going to focus on my studio, just build it up, give myself a lot of options, and then start building my print. Well, the problem is you could have a situation where, you like, your studio is perfect for like a variety of things, and yet somehow the card draw just doesn't seem to go your way. Or you can't get the first player token, and you're always getting like, you're always being forced in a situation where do I take what I want but only get one or two cards, and which is really cool that you can be like, I'm just gonna take one,
Yeah.
But I feel like compared to some card drafting games we've played, because I'm usually the person who's always like luck is good. I do think in this game sometimes it just, I don't know, it feels like it can go really bad. But to defend the game though, we have had sessions where everyone has had pretty equal scores. So
Yeah, it's not like it's always a blowout or anything like that.
But in a game where the end game is triggered by a certain
It is too quick.
It happens quickly and it is a race, and so when you combine that with sometimes with bad luck, it can feel extra. Your loss can feel more sour than it would in a game where it's like when the end is going to happen.
I have bigger issues with this game. I just feel like this game isn't very user-friendly, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like parts of the gameplay are at odds with other parts of the gameplay. It's a very free-form thing where you can collect your cards, you can do kind of whatever you want with it, and the other players play. But at the same time, you can't play like that because you always have to keep an eye on the diplomas and the first player token. So it seems like a game where everyone's kind of doing their own thing, kind of at the same time, and they just kind of, you don't have to worry about player interaction or anything like that. But if you play too quickly and you kind of miss on the diplomas, and there's no way to really, there's no like alerts for the diplomas. You have to just pay attention and see if you've reached it. It kind of slows down the proceedings, and I feel like the game should be quicker and snappier than it actually is.
The diplomas are probably my biggest issue with the game, just because it feels like I like them and they're obviously necessary for the, for strategy. And you have to collect diplomas to win. But you're right, it feels a little bit chaotic, and people. You're right, people are all kind of doing their own thing, so it doesn't feel like there's a defined order almost of operations. And which happens, you end up skipping over the diplomas, or you're focused on doing what you're doing, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh well, do you want a diploma? And now you have another decision on top of that, and it can kind of slow things down, or just.
I think the game just relies on short-term memory more than I care for it to. Because here's the thing, I don't have a great short-term memory sometimes.
Or
I'll
long-term
space
memory.
out. Thank you, Dee. And there's a lot of mechanics. Like, first off, what you guys were talking about, you have to remember to take the diplomas. You have to remember to look at them. And you have to remember to do it in player order while everything is sort of fluid and happening in the same moment. But then not only that, you have to... the game makes it clear, hey, look, you can only use one type of landscape, per round, but and you can only use your arrows to move your things once per round. But there's no marker to let you know that you've already used them. You know what I mean? So there are moments where did I do this? I can't remember. Did I use this color? Did I use this landscape? Or didn't I? And then there's also if you pass on a diploma, you can't go back and take it again. But then there can be 4 or 5 diplomas of the same color, and you're like, did I skip that one already?
Well,
there should be a little piece that you at least for the diplomas you put on them to let you know okay, I've skipped on that one. I can only get one later on, because I know that a lot of people will be able to remember. But then this game also is telling you that you need to remember a lot of stuff. Yeah. There's other games where they make it real user friendly in the sense that you don't need to remember that stuff. It reminds you you've done this or you've skipped this.
Yep.
Yeah, there is a lot of management for how simple the game game is.
The game is quite beautiful, I will say, in a positives.
Oh yes, yep.
This is a cool board.
I love the mat.
The bamboo Might be bamboo. Could be fake bamboo. But
Bamboo.
We should probably talk about the Yokai expansion.
we were going, yeah, I think we'll do it now.
Yeah.
People are dying to know what we think about the Yokai expansion.
Yes.
Let's tell them.
Me?
Graham, go ahead. You were about to speak. And
I mean, I don't
Yeah, come on,
dislike.
get it out.
Yeah.
I don't dislike the Yokai expansion.
where I'm at.
I don't know if it adds so much replayability to the game as it's supposed to. It feels like not a huge expansion.
I feel like it doesn't add much of anything in terms of overall balance.
I mean, especially in strategy and how you play the game, it just comes down to people. Unless you get really lucky somehow with the Yokai cards,
thing.
it just is always going to equally spread out where every person has one Yokai.
I think the Yokai are a fun idea. I just don't think the cards really are. They're not prevalent enough to really allow it to be interesting.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of like trading these back and forth and trying to it's like hot potato with them.
Can I get all of them to...
But the fact that you're always combining two of those sets with two of these means they're going to come up kind of infrequently.
Infrequently, yep.
I would honestly probably rather play this just with those three and the Yokai.
It's nice that they added in new cards.
Oh, absolutely.
There's new diplomas that correlate with these.
Yeah, well, they have to.
It's the same gameplay hook though. It's like collect different colors, collect certain amounts.
What's it? Yeah.
But it does I think for some people who may have played this game a lot and got tired of the same visual, trees and animals and all that. I mean, umbrellas.
Oh, this is
kites.
This is 100% only for people who already really like Kanagawa.
Yeah.
If you're not if you're kind of not sold by the original game, this is not going to change your mind in the slightest.
In regard to the Yokais, I agree with you guys that it feels like they're a good idea that maybe kind of poorly utilized because they're
Yeah.
I think the problem is that when you draw a Yokai card, here's one actually, it's a good. It has the symbol on it, which means you take a Yokai. Well, then there's other ones that have a symbol that has the Yokai symbol and an arrow. It's telling you can pass it. But that can only be used in the moment, just like taking it. So. I mean, there's that's the thing. What you guys were saying, the chances that you ever actually get to utilize those in a satisfying way are just slim because of luck and other factors. And
then probably the worst, the most damning thing I could say about them is that they may not even matter, at the end. Graham, you got all three in the game we played in the video, but you still
easily won.
Yeah, it's so they were an afterthought.
Well, because at the end, I mean, it really is what it's supposed to be, -9 points if you get all three. But if you get all three and you
get the diploma,
I mean...
And you're probably going to get the diploma, because what are the chances that two people in one game collect all three?
It happened for me right at the end of the game.
-5.
It's -5, which...
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I was
great,
there's some cards in there, the wild cards, that are -2. So it's...
Yeah, exactly. So they're whatever. The new lesson cards are nice.
Honestly, what I like the most about the expansion is just that it gives you more cards to play with, newer and different diplomas. But at the end of the day, I like them because it adds just a visual flair to the game. And you could have done that without adding in the Yokai
game.
tokens.
Well, yeah, but then it's kind of that's a
Then
very
what's the
slight
point?
expansion. Then at that point,
Yeah. But hey, they're wood.
That's fair.
They are wood. Everything's wood, though. I mean, that's not the game. The build, the components, everything. That's never been a problem with this game.
Nope.
It's a very well made game. Again, it's a very nice game to look at. Should we wrap it up? Anything else you guys want to finish before we give our?
I'm good.
Just is what it is with me. I'm not a huge fan of this game. Are we gonna grade the entire game, the expansion, both?
Do them separately. I think that'd be fair.
I would. I mean,
really, I'm gonna just grade it all as.
Yeah,
there's not enough there for the expansion to give it a whole separate.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, that's true. I was just gonna say we should let the audience know what we would score this solely without the expansion. If it's gonna bring your score down,
it's not gonna change anything for me. It's such a similar. There's no really.
I would give it 2.5 stars out of 5 either way.
With the expansion or without it. Okay,
it's tough because I do like the actual gameplay and, like I said, the decision making in the game. I think it's really simple, but also in a way. Feels like I'm actually trying to strategize, but then again, there are quite a bit of issues with this game. Similar to D, I guess. I'm neutral.
Neutral thumbs.
Neutral thumbs.
And Wilhelm, you got to give a grade.
Yeah, again, like I said kind of earlier, I enjoy this game in the moment, even if afterwards I have my complaints. I still think it's a unique game and it looks great, and sometimes, that can be enough. I'd probably give the base game a B if I did.
Okay.
I'd probably give it a B. Yeah. it has its fair share of problems, but I like card drafting, worker placement, so there's a lot of stuff in there for me. But and the Yokai expansion, I don't think it really adds enough to the game to even like merit its own score. But it definitely wouldn't bring the game down for me. But I do like the somewhat added replayability of just having new cards. And
all right, well, that is our reviews of Kanagawa and Kanagawa Yokai. We hope you enjoyed this video. If this is your favorite game, I'm sorry. Either way, give us a thumbs up, because we appreciate that. Also, subscribe to the channel for more reviews like this every week. And you can, of course, comment any thoughts you have, if you agree, if you disagree. I'm sure people will.
hey, I like the discourse, so if you disagree, let us know and let us know why.
We'll talk. We'll talk back.
Yep, and you won't know who's replying.
I will.
It's probably me.
All right, and you can also check out our social media. Our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are all linked to below if you want to check out what we're up to day-to-day lives.
Day-to-day.
And come back Friday, if you're watching this new, when we'll be returning to a sort of a familiar setting, some well-known characters. And we're going to have a little dance.
Don't spoil anything, D.
We're going to be dancing.
He's spoiling everything. We're playing Dance Dance Revolution.
Here we are, getting Matt set up down here. Come back for that. Until then, though, thank you for watching this video, everybody.
Bye.
See you next time.